Good morning, everyone. A couple announcements before we get into it today. First, Celebrate Recovery. Our recovery program is up and running. Friday nights, dinners at 5:30, then group. And Celebrate Recovery, in conjunction with our food pantry, is doing a drive-through food giveaway. That's tomorrow morning, Thursday morning, starting at 9 o'clock in the school parking lot. So you just drive through and they'll put a box of food in the back of your car. Pretty cool. Now to the business at hand. I love having this opportunity to share with you guys these little short devotional thoughts, and I so enjoy hearing from others who've contributed. Thanks so much for watching, and thanks to everyone who's contributed. It just goes to prove God can redeem any situation, even a pandemic, and there's some good things that have come from this COVID thing. We do church 7 days a week now. It's what we should have been doing all along, because it's all about Him. He's the center of our lives and the source of our joy. Man, joy is such a fun topic. John Piper's made a career out of teaching about the joy we have in the Lord. For our joy to be in the Lord, though, we must allow it to take root in our thought life, where we can cultivate it to full bloom. Now, we were made for joy, and true joy is found when we lay aside ourselves and rest in Him, abide in Him. In the book of joy, Philippians, I think Paul uses joy 15 or 16 times, something like that. He tells us to rejoice in the Lord always. And again, I say rejoice. Then he goes on that same passage to tell us to think about what is true and whatever is honorable and just and lovely and commendable. If there's anything excellent or praiseworthy, think about these things. Guys, practice these things, and the God of peace will be with you. We are what we think. And Paul knows this, so that's why he's encouraging us to think about what is good. Because if we're consumed with toxic thoughts, it'll rob us of our joy. Only when we rejoice in Him and what He has done and our position in Him can we find true joy. Not just momentary happiness, but true, lasting, sustain us through the tough times of life kind of joy. Man, but we live in a negative world, don't we? Complaining and grumbling are our way of life. Negative thoughts are pulling us the other way, and they'll rob us of this joy if we don't see them for what they are. And I truly believe we do not hate our sinful thoughts nearly enough. James tells us, abhor what is evil and cling to what is good. But instead of hating our sinful thoughts, man, we entertain them. We love to talk about people. We love to complain. But we got to take control of our thoughts. Get out of my head, you negative, nasty thoughts. That discontentment we feel, well, what a joy sucker, right? Those thoughts that tell us we're important. Oh, man, another joy sucker. Maybe even go so far as to say these thoughts are evil because there's the opposite of humility. That victimhood mentality that so many people buy into. Man, another big joy sucker, isn't it? Complaining and criticizing has become a national pastime, and they're just more joy suckers. Or the really sad negative thoughts that you say, when you tell yourself you're not good enough, that God could never love you, you're a loser, a fake, a fraud. God, we don't hate these thoughts near enough, and they rob from us. They don't have our best interests at heart. They're from the devil, the father of lies, who only wants to kill and destroy. But these negative thoughts can become a pattern. That's why Paul encourages us to take every thought captive to obey Christ. Dobson had a great analogy. He said our brains are like sand dunes. And every time you have a thought, it's like a trickle of water placed at the top of that dune. It wears a little channel. And if you have that same thought again, it goes down that same pathway. And if you have that same thought often enough, over time, man, there's a Grand Canyon developed in that sand dune of your mind. And any thought that gets close gets sucked right down into that path. So you can see how this would rot your soul if over time your mind was only occupied with negative thoughts. Take every thought captive to obey Christ. When we obey Christ, we assume that same attitude that He demonstrated, that of humility. And I got to tell you, it's a lot easier to consider others better than yourself when you're operating from a position of humility. We'll be free to love others in His name like we're called to do. We won't be held captive by negative thoughts. Negative thoughts just create noise and chaos. Only being with Jesus will bring peace. Boy, read this list in Philippians 4:8. This is my paraphrase version. Finally, brothers and sisters, think about what is true, honorable, just, pure, lovely, excellent, praiseworthy. Think about these things. I read this list and I could just sum it up by saying, think about Jesus. Let him control your thoughts, and let the peace of Christ, which surpasses all understanding, guard your thoughts and minds. Love you guys. Have a great day.